mercy. So, chapter 2 titled Taror Iva Sahisnuna, as tolerant as a tree. Kshina Riktas Chutah Sthanat Kshipto Baddhas Chasrubhihi Gnati Bhischa Parityakto Yatanam Anuyapitah Guruna Barisitah Sapto Jaho Shatyam Na Subratah Chaler Yukto Maya Dharmo Nayam Tyajati Shatyavak. Although bereft of his riches, fallen from his original position, defeated and arrested by his enemies, rebuffed and deserted by his relatives and friends, although suffering the pain of being bound, and although rebuffed and cursed by his spiritual master, Bali Maharaj, being fixed in his vow, did not give up his truthfulness. It was certainly with pretension that I spoke about religious principle, but he did not give up religious principles, for he is true to his word. Bali Maharaj passed the severe test put before him by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is further proof of the Lord's mercy toward his devotee. The Supreme Personality of Godhead sometimes puts a devotee to severe tests that are almost unbearable. One could hardly even live under the conditions forced upon Bali Maharaj. That Bali Maharaj endured all these severe tests and austerity is the mercy of the Supreme Lord. The Lord certainly appreciates the devotee's forbearance, and it is recorded for the future glorification of the devotee. This was not an ordinary test, as described in this verse. Hardly anyone could survive such a test. But for the future glorification of Bali Maharaj, one of the Mahajan, the Supreme Personality Godhead, not only tested him, but also give him the strength to tolerate such adversity. The Lord is so kind to his devotees that when severely testing him, the Lord gives him the necessary strength to be tolerant and continue to remain a glorious devotee. Now the topic title is Severe Test. The Supreme Lord himself said, this is a test. Bali Maharaj had a very elevated position in the material world. He had conquered the universe. He possessed all the opulence, riches, and wealth of the three worlds. But he was to lose it at all. He fell down from his original positions and was defeated, arrested by his enemies, rebuked and deserted by his relatives and friends. This gave him so much suffering and pain. He was bound by the Varuna past, the ropes of Varuna. He was cursed by his spiritual master and still did not give up his truthfulness. He did not break his promise to give 3 pieces of land to the Supreme Lord. Lord Vamandev appeared as a dwarf brahmachari, having small stature, and thus he had tiny feet. He asked Bali Maharaj for 3 pieces of land, as he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He expanded himself and became huge. With his 2 tiny feet, he covered all the land and space in the 3 worlds and took away everything that Bali possessed. The Supreme Lord tried to prove that Bali was not truthful, that Bali could not keep his promise, but Bali was fixed in his resolve. Then the Lord says, "Good, now I have taken everything from you with 2 steps. Is there any land or space that you can give me to place my 3rd step?" Bali said, "Good, I have nothing left to give you." Then the Lord says, "Give me a place for my 3rd footsteps." Bali had received Kripa Siddhi, mercy from his grandfather Prahlad Maharaj, who is a Mahabhagavat, a great devotee. Therefore, pure intelligence came to him. He thought, quote, "I have given everything. The Supreme Lord has taken away everything from me. All my possessions, all my opulences, all my riches, but I have not given my soul." Unquote. Thus, he touched his own head and said to the Lord, quote, "Please place your 3rd footsteps on my head." Unquote. That means Atma Nivedan. He completely surrendered. That was the test. Bali Maharaj tolerated everything. When one completely surrenders, completely dedicates himself to the Lord, he will become bereft of everyone and everything. Friends and relatives will abandon him, and he will lose all his riches and physical strength. The Supreme Lord is all he has. So the devotee takes shelter of him. That is the test, and Bali passed the test. His spiritual master Sukracharya had cursed him, quote, "You cannot keep your promise. You will be proved untruthful. You will go to hell and suffer." Still, Bali Maharaj tolerated everything. All right, let me have this suffering and let me go to hell and suffer there. But I cannot give up my promise. I cannot be untruthful. I must keep my promise at any cost. Thus, Bali Maharaj completely surrendered and offered his head for the Lord to place his 3rd footstep. Thus, he did not give up his truthfulness. Here the Supreme Lord admits, quote, "It was certainly with pretension that I spoke about religious principles, but he did not give up religious principles, for he is true to his word." Bali Maharaj passed the test. The Supreme Lord pretended, "Chalana, Chalyasi, Vrikra, Mane, Balim, Adbhuta, Vamana." But Bali Maharaj did not give up his religious principles. He was true to his word. He had the strength to tolerate all rebuffs and insults, all suffering and all pains. He tolerated everything. One should develop the power of tolerance like Bali Maharaj. Therefore, Mahaprabhu teaching is Pranat api sunichena, taror iva sahisnuna, amanina manadena, kirtaniya sadahari. If we want to do Hari Bhajan without duplicity, with a simple heart, a pure heart, Niskapat Bhajan, Krishna knows it. He is there in your heart. Krishna knows the bhav, the intentions in your heart. You will face many severe tests. Are you pretending and duplicity is in your heart? Or do you have a simple heart? This will be tested. Whether you really want Krishna or material enjoyment or liberation. Very nice book. The Lord gives strength to tolerate. Anya abhilasita sunyam jnana karmadi anavrutam anukulyena krishnan shrinam bhaktir uttama. One should render the transcendental loving service to the Supreme Lord Krishna favorably and without desire for material profit or gain through fruitive activities or philosophical speculation. That is called pure devotional service. This is Uttama Bhakti, pure Bhakti, only to show the lotus feet of the Lord and to give Him pleasure. There is no other intentions or desire in your heart. No desire for material enjoyment and no desire for liberation. I do not ask for anything for my own pleasure, for my own enjoyment, for my own name, fame, prestige, adoration, or my own honor. I don't want it. That will be tested. That test was there for Bali and he passed the test. One who passes this test is eligible for the mercy of the Lord. The Lord will test you and the Lord also gives strength to tolerate all the difficulties. As described in this verse, hardly anyone could survive such a test. But for the future glorification of Bali Maharaj, one of the Mahajan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, not only tasted him, but also give him the strength to tolerate such adversity. This is the power of tolerance. Therefore, Taror Ivi Iva Sahishnuna, Mahaprabhu has said, be as tolerant as tree. How can you do Hari Bhajan if you have no tolerance? That will be tested. Bali was tested, and here it is said, this was not an ordinary test. It was a very severe test. No one else could have survived, but Bali survived. He tolerated. A humble devotee remained equipoised. Take the example of Haridas Thakur. He tolerated persecutions by the Pandits, atheists, who dragged him to the street of 22 marketplace. All the while whipping him severely. Anyone else would have died. They could not have survived. His flesh and bones were exposed. The people there could not tolerate seeing Haridas being persecuted in this way. They shed tears, crying, alas, alas. But Haridas Thakur simply tolerated. He was chanting very loudly. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Khanda Khanda Hari Deha, Yadi Jaya Pran, Tabu Ami Vadanena, Chadi Harinam. Even if my body is cut into pieces and I lose my life, I will never give up chanting the Lord's holy name. What a wonderful sentence to end. We should continue reading. I think we should stop here in this book, and then we will dwell in the life of our dear Srila Prabhupada, who has descended in this material world for just one purpose. He don't have to take that much austerity, but he did for one purpose, to show us the path for us. And I think I won't be joining anymore until Krishna grant me, whenever I come back, if he so desire. But continue reading this book and dwell. This book will help you so much to remain steadfast in difficult situations. And this will come as we advance in our spiritual life. Don't think that Krishna is not kind. Why he's bringing? It just simply brings so we become purified, that's all. It's always good. So I'll read Tejas Prabhu what he described, and then we will continue. We are reading from Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, volume number 5, chapter 3, title, I will build a wonderful temple for you. Tejas Prabhu, this will be the Krishna Balram temple, Prabhupada said. We didn't really know what was going on. We all thought it was so far away. It was really the boondocks, Raman Reti. Nobody was out there. It was such an isolated place. And there were lots of dacoits laying out there. We thought, good. If we are going to have a temple out here, no one will ever come. But Prabhupada says, wherever there is Krishna, everyone will come. That's why we left yesterday. So we continue. Prabhupada's secretary, Shyam Sundar, wrote to a Godbrother about the newly acquired Vrindavan property as follows in his own words. Earlier in the day, before breakfast, Prabhupada showed up the 4,800 square yard gift plot in Raman Reti, where Krishna used to spot with friends in the forest, about 10 minutes walk from Radha Damodar. Prabhupada surveyed the land, in the parenthesis, with the rope from his mosquito net, parenthesis over, bargained for, drew plans for, drew up the deed for, went to Mathura magistrate's court for, and signed, sealed, and delivered in an instant. Prabhupada has asked me to request you that at least 50 men from the US must come to India immediately. At last we have got a solid program in India. Huge project at Mayapur, Vrindavan, and Bombay. All the lands are acquired, arrangements made, and everything by Prabhupada. but only a few of us men are there to struggle with an immense task, the biggest by far within the society of developing these three places. And believe me, these three projects are more dear to Prabhupada than any yet contemplated. In the month while Prabhupada was away from Bombay, he had left on February 10th. The payment of 50,000 rupees was duly made. Slowly at first, a few devotees moved to the Juhu land, living in a tent. At night, the rats and mosquitoes would disturb the devotees' sleep. While attempting to clear the overgrown weeds, they came upon empty liquor bottles and overflowing sewage. Without Prabhupada present, the resolutions grew weak. But then Brahmananda Swami returned from Calcutta, where he had been with Srila Prabhupada. Brahmananda Swami was inspired and he gave the Bombay devotees new impetus. They would have to clear the land and raise a pandal right away. Brahmananda Swami had never put on a pandal program before, but he hired a contractor to build several chatai palm front houses for the devotees and festival tent. Even before the construction could begin, however, the devotees would have to thoroughly clean the land. Mr. Sethi, a neighbor and life member, hired a work crew to cut down the weeds and vegetation, and several life members and friends in Bombay also came forward to assist. Mr. Nair N offered to help by sending one of his assistants, Mr. Matar, to organize the hired laborers in clearing the fields. The devotees also work in preparation for Prabhupada's return. Sri Sri Radha Ras Vihari arrived at Hare Krishna land in a taxi, riding across the lap of several devotees. They had moved before, and this time their residence was a tent. They had first come to be with the devotees of Bombay during the Pandal program at Cross Maidan in downtown Bombay. On that occasion, there had been a procession to Chowpatty Beach, and when the devotees has arrived, Radha Ras Bihari, beautifully dressed and decorated and installed in an ornate palanquin, had been awaiting them. Krishna was white marble and held a silver flute. Radharani's right hand, palm forward, extended a benedictions. They were beautiful. I remember my Guru Maharaj shared that Sri Sri Radhanila Madhavas, Radharani was in a dancing pose, one hand like this, one hand like this. But then my Guru Maharaj was telling me that one day Srimati Radharani appeared in his dream and requested that I want to give blessings to everybody, whoever will take my darshan. So as you see now the deities, that Radharani right hand is palm forward, extended benedictions to whoever take a darshan of Srimati Radharani. That's really beautiful. And whoever has the opportunity to show them, they can see twisting of the arm from that to this. It has some joints you can see. Deities are beautiful. After their first appearance at Chowpatty, Radha Rasvihari has moved to the Akash Ganga building, where gradually the devotees has established a decent standard of deity worship. When Prabhupada had left others that Radha Rasbihari should move to Juhu as soon as the down payment was made, and some of the devotees has questioned him. Why should the deity move before the facilities were proper? Shouldn't they wait until the temple was built? Quote, once the deity is installed on a piece of property, unquote, Prabhupada has replied, quote, no one will remove them, unquote. More than anyone else, Prabhupada was aware of the proper worship to be offered to Radha Rasbihari. But his emphasis now was on securing the land. How else, he reasoned, could he eventually give Radha Rasbihari a royal throne and temple unless they themselves first established the right of proprietorship by taking up residence at the Hare Krishna land? The arrival of Radha Rasbihari at Juhu also meant increased difficulties for the devotees who now had to struggle to maintain the morning puja and cook 6 daily offerings in the meager kitchen. Even Radha Rasbihari's tent was insubstantial and swayed in the wind. Srila Prabhupada, however, saw the move as a necessary transcendental tactic. He felt certain that everyone involved, himself, the owner of the land, the Bombay municipality, would accept that the land belongs to Krishna, since Krishna was already residing there. And because he was asking Lord Krishna himself to accept these inconveniences, he prayed to the deity, quote, my dear sir, please remain here and I shall build a beautiful temple for you, unquote. By the time Prabhupada returned to Bombay, Radha Rasbihari were installed on the stage of the festival pandal. Attendance at the festival was not as great as it would have been in downtown Bombay. No more than 500 people came a night, but Prabhupada was satisfied. This festival was on their own property, and this was only the beginning. Every evening, Prabhupada lectured at the pandal and attended the kirtan and arti before Radha Rasbihari. Panch Dravid Swami had collected donations of 5 tons of dal, rice and flour, and the devotees were regularly cooking enough khichdi to serve 125 people free prasadam daily. In the evening, Prabhupada himself would give out halwa from the deity's plate, and the crowd, including well-to-do businessmen and their wives, would press forward to receive the prasadam. Prabhupada liked the festival so much that he told the devotees to arrange to keep the tent for a perpetual festival. Prabhupada lived on the land in a tent, just like the other devotees, until Mr. Acharya, one of the more favorable tenants living in the back of the property, invited him to stay at his house. Within a few days of his arrival at Juhu, Prabhupada was ready to hold the groundbreaking and cornerstone laying ceremony, another tactic for securing possessions of the land. But it was more than a tactic for securing possession of the land. But it was more than a tactic, as he wanted a temple constructed as soon as possible. Radha Ras Bihari should not remain standing in a tent, but should be protected by a silver and teakwood simhasana on a marble altar. They should be surrounded by deities of the two gopis, Lalita and Visakha. And their temple should have marble domes more than 100 feet high. 1,000 should come daily for darshan and prasada. One morning, in the midst of the festival activities, the devotees of the Hare Krishna land joined Prabhupada in a simple cornerstone laying ceremony. They had dug a deep ceremonial pit and surrounded it with bricks. Prabhupada descended and placed the deity of Sesa. Then, sitting on a simple platform, Prabhupada accompanied the kirtan by playing a brass gong. While one by one the devotee came before him and threw dirt into the pit, filling it while smoke rose from the sacrificial fire. Prabhupada was outraged that Brahmananda Swami had agreed to pay the contractors 40,000 rupees for the pandal construction. It was the same old thing, the foolish Western disciple getting cheated. Prabhupada refused to pay 4,000 rupees, should be more than enough. When the contractor came to see him, he told them that he had little money and that they would have to be satisfied with the 4,000 rupees. They protested, but Prabhupada became angry and insisted, quote, accept it. You are making 500% profit, unquote. As soon as they see us, Prabhupada said later, they say, these Americans, they have got money. Our work is going on in India, but as soon as money is being spent, 50% is being spoiled because you Americans are inexperienced. What can be done? The Indians want your money and they cheat like anything. During the Pandal festival, the tenement's neighbors had become disturbed by kirtan over the loudspeaker. They were already disturbed that their landlord, Mr. N, was slow to repair the building and would sometimes let them go a full week without water being fixing the plumbing. Being suddenly forced to live with more than 20 American devotees only exacerbated their dissatisfaction. Some of the neighbors were converted Christians and unsympathetic to Vaishnavism. They even feared their children might again be converted to Hinduism. Some tenants claimed the devotees were infringing on their privacy. Some criticized the devotees for arguing among themselves, and others criticized that the unmarried man and woman were living in close proximity, even though in separate quarters. A few of the neighbors, however, could see that the Western Vaishnavas were struggling to sincerely worship Radha and Krishna. None of the tenants criticized Prabhupada. However, so when he was present, he was able to pacify them and resolve any disagreements. But Prabhupada knew that after he left, the situation could easily become volatile. Prabhupada was planning as extensive world tour, traveling eastward to Australia, Japan, Hawaii, and US, and perhaps Mexico and Europe. It might be as long as a half year before he would return to India, and he wanted things to progress smoothly in Bombay without him. A few days before Prabhupada's departure, Madhudvi Swami complained, quote, "I'm not feeling very enthusiastic here. I think I need a change," unquote. Prabhupada asked him where he wanted to go, and Madhudvisa replied that he was thinking of Australia. Prabhupada says, quote, "Yes, I'm going there. You also come," unquote. Brahmananda Swami told Prabhupada that the preaching was deteriorating in Nairobi in his absence, and Prabhupada agreed that he should return to his duties there. Again, Prabhupada had to choose a new Bombay manager, and this time he chose Giriraj, a young brahmachari and leading preacher in making ISKCON life members. Prabhupada reasoned that since the essence of management was to collect donations and make life members, and since Giriraj was expert at that, then even though he was young and otherwise inexperienced, Hari Bol Suchitra Mataji, and make life member, and since Giriraj was expert at that, then even though he was young and otherwise inexperienced, he had the most important qualifications. Prabhupada had already found Giriraj to be simple and submissively dedicated to helping him develop the Hare Krishna land. I think the time has come to depart. We should be punctual in service. And also I will have to take Shyam Vallabhi for the post-surgery visit to the doctor. I have to get ready in 5 minutes and leave. But thank you very much again. And I pray to everyone at their putting my head to their feet, requesting them continue joining and remain strong. If Krishna desire, I will come back on this call, but it will be some time. I'm gonna miss you all, and you will be always in my prayer. So, as Prabhupada says, your love will be seen by how you cooperate. So my statement would be that your love for chanting the holy name will be seen, how regularly you join in my absence. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Vanchu kalpataruvasya kripa sindhuvaya vacha patitanam bhavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Thank you very much. So today